I'm with Pavan Varma, former member of parliament from the Rajya Sabha, a politician, thinker, writer, intellectual, and a retired diplomat, and Rahul Varma, fellow at the Center for Policy Research, perhaps one of India's best known think tanks. And today, of course, with two minds like this, two political minds, I have with me here today at ThePrint, there's only one story in town, and that's the opposition unity meeting in Bengaluru, Karnataka, and also the NDA, that's Prime Minister Modi's BJP-led National Democratic Alliance, is also holding a meet in Delhi. But so we have these two coalitions, if you like, on the road to 2024. But let me not get ahead of myself, and let me welcome you both to ThePrint. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Pavan Varma, may I start with you first? Your first comments on this big opposition unity meeting. It was really interesting to see Sonia Gandhi, Congress leader, Rahul Gandhi, her son, between the two of them, Mamata Banerjee of the Trinamool Congress, and a wide array of opposition leaders. Your first comments on this meeting?
No, I think the opposition unity meeting in Bengaluru is important. It's important because I think finally, after 9 years, opposition parties and opposition leaders have realized that however difficult the task may be, either they hang together or they hang separately, quite simply put.
Right.
And together, they do represent strength which has, in a sense, made an impact on the BJP. And I say this because the BJP knows that it won 2014 with 31%, 2019 with 37%. Its vote base is narrow, which is basically Northwest India. And therefore, if, for instance, the opposition unites, the principal advantage the BJP has, which is of winning because the opposition vote is divided, that may reduce the number of seats it gets.
Okay.
So it is unprecedented in the history of democratic India that the entire political spectrum almost is divided into two groups meeting on the same day in the run-up to the 2024 elections.
Yes, it is. It is very, yeah. It is very interesting, Mr. Varma. Rahul Varma, can I bring you in here? As this opposition unity meet is taking place or has taken place in Bangalore, 26 political parties in the NDA, 38 political parties. But what is remarkable is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has actually come out and launched a truly blistering attack. I mean, he's accusing the opposition of, and he described it as the conglomerate of the corrupt. Now, of course, he spoke in Hindi, and that's an English translation. But two points that he makes. One is that this is a bunch of corrupt men and women, politicians who've come together. And the other is that he's accusing them of being a casteist alliance. Your comments, please.
Thank you, Jyoti. So let me make 2-3 points. First, I think I agree with Mr. Pavan Verma that opposition parties coming together first in Patna and then Bangalore. This basically represents strength, and it's a good beginning. We don't know what the end is going to be of this oppositional alliance, but what has become very, very clear in the run-up to 2024, that the elections are going to be between two groups, one led by the BJP, which is NDA, and the other one is going to be where Congress and like-minded parties are going to contest together. There's no space for the third front in that sense. But specifically on I think, like, the comment on Prime Minister Modi. So this attack, which he launched today at Port Blair while inaugurating the airport, is not new. He said the same thing in last August at the Red Fort. And since then, I think the consistent line of attack by the BJP is that any kind of this opposition grouping is basically a grouping of politicians who are trying to promote their own political families. So his one statement was today that of the family, by the family, and for the family. And many of these leaders are tainted with corruption and they are coming together to protect them. Going forward, this is going to be a very, very powerful line of attack, and the opposition parties must think how they are going to respond on this question, because most of these parties are dynastic in nature.
Mr. Varma, do you think, Mr. Pavan Varma, do you agree with Prime Minister Modi's attack on the opposition, this attack that he made today, so these 2 points that he made, one is the corruption angle, where he says that these are a bunch of corrupt people. What is your take on what the Prime Minister said?
You see, let me say to you that where corruption is concerned, it is a fallacy to believe that corruption is the monopoly of the opposition.
But why is that? Why is that a fallacy, Mr. Varma?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because if only the opposition is investigated, please see the statistics of the number of investigations carried out by ED and CBI over the 9 years that the BJP has been in power, and you will see that the overwhelming focus of attack are the opposition parties, and sometimes so blatantly as a few days before elections are going to take place in a particular state.
But perhaps that doesn't mean that these people against whom these investigations are taking place doesn't mean that they're not corrupt, are they?
Very true. However, which investigation against so many that exist against the BJP has been pursued? Do you know that over 40% of the current Narendra Modi cabinet has cases pending against it, including that of ministers? I'm talking of ministers of a very serious nature.
Like who?
Which have not been investigated.
Like who, Mr. Varma? Like who?
There are 4 ministers of state whose names I can't recall, but they are on every website, who have cases of cheating, of dacoity, of attempted murder, and many other wrongdoings. Secondly, you have seen over these years, Jyoti, the use of blatant money power. Legislators have been bought. These are allegations, of course, but where is the money coming from? Governments have been broken. States where BJP has not won a single seat has en masse defection of legislators to their fold. Now, either the seduction of the BJP is so irresistible, or obviously other means are being employed which are unethical. So corruption, and you also had other cases of crony capitalism, etc. I'm not saying they are true, but they have not been investigated as fully as, for instance, the relentless pursuit of the opposition. So corruption is not a monopoly of either side. There is corruption in India's public life and political space.
So in that case, Rahul, my question to you is, why is corruption this overwhelming instrument of attack on the part of the ruling party, on the part of the Prime Minister? If what Pavan Varma is saying is that, that corruption is not the prerogative of only the opposition, and that there are a lot of cases against ruling party MPs as well, and even perhaps ministers, then what is the Prime Minister aiming at?
He's trying to create a very important and I think powerful narrative. I completely agree with Mr. Pavan Verma that all parties have these tainted politicians, and party that is in power is likely to pursue cases against the opposition and not on their own party members. That's the nature of the politics, and whichever is the dominant party, either at the state level or the national level, will try to get people from other parties. That's how politics and power operates. I think what PM is doing and BJP is trying to do, they're not just targeting the corruption. That's, of course, every party is going to claim the other party is corrupt. What is trying to marry two narratives, one of corruption and the second one of dynasticism and nepotism, right? And so he's basically trying to fit the corruption narrative into that these people are corrupt or engaged in corrupt practices because they are trying to do this for their own family members and vested interest and trying to promote their own family member. So I'm not saying the elections are going to be decided on the corruption narrative, but it gives them a very powerful narrative advantage apart from other things that they are going to put in the run-up to elections. Of course, the PM or the BJP is not going to say, oh, it's great that all opposition parties are coming together and they will save Indian democracy, right? Their narrative is going to basically puncture things, which is what they're trying to do.
Okay. Mr. Varma, now this question of dynasty that the Prime Minister brings up again and again. Now, that charge is certainly true of several members of the several ruling members of the opposition party. But I have an additional question for you, which is that the NCP chief, Mr. Sharad Pawar, who, by the way, is there at the opposition unity meeting in Bengaluru. Now, his nephew, Ajit Pawar, who's just broken away from him, we've seen the whole tamasha that has happened over the last fortnight. But explain to me and to the viewers of Print, why does Ajit Pawar and Praful Patel, amongst other people, who broke away from Sharad Pawar, went back to him on Sunday and Monday and requested him to lead the party, lead the NCP? I don't understand this.
You see, Mr. Sharad Pawar is one of the shrewdest politicians we have.
Okay.
For him, I have great respect, not because of his shrewdness, but because of his survivability. And therefore, it's an enigma wrapped in a mystery inside a dilemma. What his actual thinking is, and what the game actually is unfolding in Maharashtra. There are many theories. I'm not getting digressed by them.
Okay.
The question I want to make to you is as far as corruption, and then I'll come to dynasty.
Sure.
You see, the BJP, I think, and this is a perception among many members of the BJP and the RSS, in the pursuit of political power and hegemony, has embraced so many of those it has accused most vociferously of corruption into its fold, that it has in fact created antibodies within the BJP. So when you talk of corruption and then you make Ajit Pawar the finance minister of Maharashtra in a coalition government that you run,
Right.
and there are so many other examples, or Praful Patel, against whom you have opened a CBI inquiry for his role as Minister of Civil Aviation, now a member of the BJP. So to some extent, the washing machine Nirma label on the BJP is valid, and it dilutes its corruption chime. People of India are not, I don't think they are cretins. They can see what's going on. Corruption has never been a real issue in politics except during Bofors, and that was for other reasons. The second issue of dynasty, it is an important fact, and it is antithetical and inimical to democracy. The perpetuation of one family, not necessarily on merit, but merely because of the accident of birth, is inimical to any principle of real democracy.
So then this is several opposition parties can be accused of that, isn't it? Whether it's
true, but now a new thing has happened in the BJP also. It's not a Parivarvadi party. It never has been. There are examples at lower rungs of families perpetuating themselves, but the BJP and the CPIM have never been Parivarvadi party. But in the BJP, what is new is a new culture of absolute leader, absolute followers, and absolute cheerleaders. Now, this is something new for the BJP.
So who's the absolute leader and who's the absolute follower? And who's
the level of inner party democracy, at least as visible to the outsider, within the BJP, is now literally reduced to the fiat of the Supremo, Mr. Narendra Modi, and his close ally, Mr. Amit Shah. And therefore, inner party democracy of the kind that would happen, say, in a debate between Advani, Vajpayee, Murli Manohar Joshi, and so on and so forth, that is something of the past. So it's something new. Okay. Even the NDA, it's interesting, Jyoti, has never met in a plenary form as it has met today in 2019.
That's right.
Why is that the case?
Yeah.
Because the BJP realizes its vulnerability in the face of opposition unity.
Okay.
Until now, it had the invincibility of Mr. Narendra Modi, the great Teflon king, who could take on the entire opposition and ride roughshod over his allies. But today they are collecting together.
Okay, Rahul, the question to you, is Prime Minister Modi more vulnerable today, as Mr. Pavan Verma says? And do you think that the BJP has changed, the Bharatiya Janata Party, has the party changed over the last 9 years?
Of course, all parties change in 9, 10 years, right? And so BJP is not an exception to this. And if you have a leader like Narendra Modi, there is no doubt that there's much more centralization within the BJP at the moment. But it's also the nature of the kind of popularity Prime Minister Modi commands. I think there are a couple of issues one should think in this case. And I wanted to respond to some of the points which Mr. Pavan Verma made. One, I think, while I agree, and you asked him a question about Sharad Pawar, while I agree, like his long tenure as politics, but over a period of time, Pawar's own strength has also declined. And we keep forgetting this, right? He was a national level leader who was vying for the post of prime ministership in 1990s. When he breaks from the Congress, he's a nationalist Congress party, which is present in many parts of the country. Then slowly it becomes a party of Maharashtra, and then slowly it has become a party of Western Maharashtra. And so while we make this all sort of like, a story of Pawar's shrewdness, we forget that over a period of 10, 15 years, he has declined, his strength has declined to few districts of
in that case, why is Ajit Pawar going back to his uncle?
No, Pawar still remains a formidable force. He's a face of Maratha pride, right? Like, and so if you don't have Pawar on your side, of course it will diminish the strength of Ajit Pawar and the current faction of.
No, the question that I had for Mr. Pavan Verma and now to you, Rahul, is that Ajit Pawar, newly having joined the BJP government, there would have been some message to him from the BJP to go back to his uncle with a message. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean?
There are, like, I don't have access to that kind of information. So very simply to bring Mr. Pawar to their side, have his blessings. So anything like that could be happening. I don't know why he's going, but more or less, NCP has diminished in its strength. And I think we continue to do this, not just for Mr. Pawar, but many old politicians, that they are shrewd. They don't know, like, they might be thinking 5 things at the point. Yes, what you can think and what you can do depends on the strength that you have, right? So in 90s, Pawar could do so many things. In 2020, Pawar's ability to maneuver has been limited. Right. And so we need to recognize those things. 2 more points. And I think this is because we are taking the debate in a very, very different direction. The first point regarding the strength of the BJP, even when opposition parties are coming together, even if we calculate that 37% vote share, we need to remember that BJP did not contest in 543 seats. It contested in some 460 seats. And in the seats it contested, the vote share was higher. BJP won more than 224 seats by more than 50 percentage point. So the task against BJP is very, very formidable. Just looking, even the arithmetic, forget about the chemistry. We keep forgetting that even bringing these parties together doesn't ensure that in many of these constituencies, they can add up to 50%. And I think, like, when we think about BJP of a Northwest party, it's a story of the past. BJP is very much present in the East, right? And is trying to maneuver its way through the South. They might not succeed, but now you can't call BJP a party of a narrow social base. Like, of course, they don't get votes from certain communities. Of course, they don't get votes from certain pockets of this country. But now it is a very, very large umbrella party.
But does it mean that it's more vulnerable today than it was?
Of course, like, after governing for 9 years, and when economic conditions are not great, there are some level of anxiety which is going to add up, and BJP faces a formidable challenge. They have been losing state after state, but you can't forget that still has one of the most formidable leaders who's sort of like popularity runs very, very high. The distance between the BJP and party number 2 still is 5-6 points. It has more organization and resources on the ground. So I'm like, any political party after being in power for 10 years will face some level of anti-incumbency. So it is more vulnerable in comparison to, say, 2014 or 2019. But don't forget, even in the run-up to 2019 election, in 2018, we were in a very similar situation. We were thinking that the elections, especially after Congress won the Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, that it will just mount a challenge. And 6 months later down the line in a Lok Sabha election, the rhythm and the language is very, very different. So let's not aggregate state results to the national politics.
That's a fair point. Mr. Varma, now Rahul makes a fair point, which is that while the BJP may seem vulnerable, but Prime Minister Modi streets ahead of any other leader. Whether it's Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi. I mean, Sonia Gandhi's has not been measured in those terms in surveys or political surveys, but there is no challenger to Prime Minister Modi.
I agree. At this moment. And the BJP has formidable strengths, for which I have respect. One, a leader. Second, a narrative, which consists of Hindutva, hypernationalism, welfareism. Thirdly, organization, cadre, including that of the RSS, and a 24/7 electoral machinery.
Right.
That is their strength. But at the same time, we must recognize, and I would like to detail the weaknesses of the opposition. So let it not be that I am only saying the BJP is weak. If you will give me an opportunity, I will do that with great equal objectivity. What did not happen in 2018, in the example that Rahul quoted, was, I entirely agree with him that voters can vote differently for assembly elections and for parliamentary elections. But in 2018, when it seemed that the state assemblies had been won by the Congress, I don't think such a serious attempt had been made to bring all the opposition on one platform beyond the periodical meeting to demonstrate arithmetical unity by holding hands. Here they are going a step beyond. And 5 years of the Modi government have passed further, so the anti-incumbency factor is there. Still, the opposition is nowhere close, although there are very legitimate discontents on which they can work, including, frankly, unemployment, inflation, the shrinking middle class. India must be the country with the largest inequality equation in the world. The number of billionaires become greater, the number of the poor remain where they are, their income in 5 years grows by 1%, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So therefore, there are legitimate discontent. Can the opposition build a narrative on those in a cohesive, organized, grassrooted, pan-Indian manner? That is the challenge.
That's the question.
They are very far from it at the moment, but I will never like to discount the attempt to do so.
Rahul, the same question to you. Can the opposition come together? Can it unify to take on the BJP and Prime Minister Modi a year from now when the general elections take place?
So you can't rule that out. And I agree with Mr. Verma. In comparison to the past, I think there is much more sincerity on part of opposition.
But why? Why is the question?
Why? Because once you are out of power for a very, very long period of time, you do realize that the only way to challenge perhaps is
fear and vulnerability.
Yeah, but also I think not all parties have come in favor of the opposition, because there is a large grouping which is also taking place in favor of NDA. There remain important parties such as Biju Janata Dal in Odisha, YSR in Andhra, or BRS in Telangana, who have not joined any front, and these three parties rule their state. So I think the number 26-38, we know more than 10 or 15 parties of both the groupings can't even contest beyond 2 or 3 seats. So while they seem like all parties, they are basically 1 or 2 leaders. They are, of course, coming together because there is an existential threat. Many of these parties know that if they don't come together, their chances of coming back to power remains very, very slim. Of course, there might be also ideological issues which these parties are putting out. Can they put up a credible challenge to BJP in 2024? For sure. Right? Coming together of these parties will basically mean that they will mobilize resources together and there will be much more coordination. So they could put a credible challenge. That's all. I think beyond that, is basically more figments of imagination at this moment of time, because on many things which opposition needs to figure out. One, whether they are going to contest under a face, and who that face is going to be, what their campaign platform and narrative is going to be, what the seat sharing formula is going to be, because all like devil lies in the detail. The photo of opportunities, meeting, having dinner, and talking big ideas is ultimately the contest would be how many seats is Congress ready to give to Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat, and how many Aam Aadmi Party is ready to give Congress in Delhi and Punjab. And so those would basically create lots of issues. And I still think that opposition can work on these things. It's not.
Absolutely. The devil is absolutely in the details, Rahul. I completely agree with you. But what is also interesting is that the Congress party in Delhi has agreed that it will support the Aam Aadmi Party, its chief rival and challenger, on the matter of the ordinance between Delhi and the BJP ruled center. So, Pavan Verma, the question to you is, of course, this is just the beginning. There's many a slip between now and April 2024. But do you feel, but what I also found interesting is that when you look at the pictures, that on the left of Sonia Gandhi, of course, you had the Congress president Mallikarjun Kharge. On his left was Nitish Kumar, your former colleague, Mr. Varma, in the Chief Minister of Bihar. To Nitish's left was Sharad Pawar. To Sharad Pawar's left was Lalu Prasad Yadav. He's out on bail. He's not looking like his old self at all, but he was there. He is there in Bangalore. And to his left was Arvind Kejriwal. Now, quite an assortment of leaders, like Rahul said, all coming together. But it was quite interesting to see them all like this. Mr. Pavan Verma?
I'm saying that it's a project which is work in progress. There's no doubt about it. And there are almost insurmountable obstacles apart from individual egos. The key lies with the Congress, because if the Congress decides that it will not cede space in states where other parties are stronger, then you'll have a divided opposition again, which is quite likely. However, what seems to have finally sunk into the opposition is that if we don't put up a single candidate in at least 350 seats and accommodate others where necessary, they are doomed for. But if they do, and if the BJP comes down below 250, there may be some very interesting changes within the BJP itself.
Like what? Like what, Mr. Varma?
No, I said to you that at the moment, Mr. Narendra Modi is unchallenged within the BJP because he has ensured two remarkable victories. And it's not as if his government has done nothing. Absolutely. It has achieved many things for which we must give him credit. He's a decisive leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, there are people within the BJP and in the RSS who sometimes, I believe, are concerned about the absolute hegemony of the individual over the Karyakarta and the organization. But if Mr. Modi remains the winning ticket, he will be unchallenged. If the BJP comes to 250 and below, we will have to see which voices within the BJP become a little more overt than covert. Now, these are all speculations.
Of course.
Right now, I can sum it up for you by saying the BJP's meeting today and its olive branch to its allies, which it had hitherto ignored, is a sense that it understands that the challenge is greater.
Okay.
And the opposition's second meeting in Bangalore, where they seem to be moving from rhetoric to the nuts and bolts of how to create a more cohesive, organized of unity with organizational rigor. That is what they lack.
Right. So
I think that is also a significant step.
So I'm going to give you the last word, Rahul Varma, and I do want you to spend a minute or so on this disquiet or the alleged disquiet within the BJP over the larger-than-life personality of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And what if, such a big if, whether the BJP's numbers do fall to 250 or less or 272, we don't know what the magic number is. Do you think that this disquiet could be could cause some sort of fissures in within, or are we or is this just an exaggerated sense that we have?
I agree that BJP recognizes the nature of challenge and its attempt to basically give olive branch to many of its former partners is basically indication of that. But we also need to know that many of these former allies also want to jump on the BJP side because they understand BJP is perhaps going to help them. Shiromani Akali Dal or TDP, they could have also gone to the opposition parties, but they might also be hedging their bets with the BJP, sensing that BJP has a slight advantage in the run-up to 2024. Now, see, I think in all organizations, forget about political parties, in all organizations, if there is like one person dominating everything, there is going to be some bickering, right? That's the how organized. But until the point of time the person continues to deliver the goals that the organization has set for itself, those bickerings will remain on the side, right? Forget in political parties. Now, if Modi fails to deliver them the third election victory, yes, those voices will get some strength, but it depends on what the failure will mean. Whether the BJP comes down to 250, whether BJP comes down to 220 or 200. I think at 200, the equation would be very, very different. At 250, 260, I'm not so sure. At the moment, it's hard to speculate where BJP will basically fall below, because if you hear one side of the story, that the anxiety levels are such, vulnerability is such, if that's true, then BJP should be certainly going below 220, 230 mark. And if that happens, then we don't know whether BJP can actually form the government or not.
Okay.
Right. And so we'll be in a very, very different world. But if it's around 250, 260, then perhaps the level of anxieties are also getting exaggerated. And BJP is somehow able to muster enough strength and narrative on the ground that even despite those economic anxieties, if a large number of people do not find the opposition parties credible enough to deliver on those things.
Right. I think the one thing that is very clear is that the road to 2024 has begun not with a whimper, but with a bang. And it will be fascinating to watch. One more thing is that the Congress president, Mallikarjun Kharge, has said that the Congress will not root for a prime ministerial face for 2024. So if the Congress is willing to give up a prime ministerial face, in some ways it becomes more interesting, the fight, but perhaps in other ways, it's even more challenging. But we'll see. And thank you both so much, Pavan Varma and Rahul Varma, for joining me on the Print Debates. Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.